In this training, we'll learn about the laws governing landlords and tenants in housing rental agreements, as well as each party's rights and responsibilities. In North Carolina, a landlord is required to maintain rental housing to be fit and safe for human habitation. There can be no inherent danger to the tenant residing in the housing unit. The law also requires that the tenant pay the agreed-upon rent in a timely fashion, and they maintain a clean home and refrain from damaging the property. Other requirements may be added to the lease and agreed upon by both the landlord and the tenant. The lease is a legally binding contract, and both the tenant and the landlord must abide by its terms. In addition, the landlord is required to make any repairs necessary to keep the unit fit and safe for human habitation. They must keep the plumbing, heating, sanitary, and electrical equipment in good and safe working order, as well as provide a smoke alarm. If the landlord provides appliances like a stove or a refrigerator, they must fix them if they break down. The stairs, sidewalks, and other areas that are used by tenants in the building must be maintained in safe condition, and the landlord must obey local housing codes. If the landlord or property owner sells the property, they must inform the tenant. They must also inform the tenant in writing of any complaints about the way the property is being treated, and, in general, leave the tenant alone while they're living there. Additional responsibilities of the tenant are to pay their rent on time in accordance with the terms of the lease, to keep their unit as clean and safe as possible, and not to damage it or let anyone staying there damage it. If the tenant plans on moving out, they must give the landlord notice. Both state and federal laws make it illegal for a landlord or property owner to discriminate on the basis of race, color, religion, national origin, sex, handicap, or family status. Laws of this nature are referred to as fair housing laws and ensure everyone has an equal opportunity to access housing. For individuals residing in public housing or federally subsidized housing, additional rights and responsibilities apply. Unless they receive a certificate or voucher, their lease can only be terminated for a good cause. That means something that the court considers reasonable. They may be evicted for the criminal behavior of any household member or guests only if they are at fault as well. If they receive Section 8 assistance, their subsidy may only be terminated if they have a pre-termination hearing with the opportunity to ask questions of the housing authority. Eviction is a legal process involving the court system and cannot be enforced by the landlord alone. The landlord must obtain a court order to force an eviction, called a summary ejectment, and the tenant has the legal option to appeal while remaining in the unit. This training has provided a brief overview of the laws governing landlord-tenant relationships and rental agreements, but it is not intended to be comprehensive. For additional information on this topic, please contact Legal Aid of North Carolina, Pisgah Legal Services, or a legal professional. This training is meant to give you, as a staff member or volunteer at ABCCM, a better understanding of the law. But remember, employees and volunteers of ABCCM are not authorized to give legal advice. You should always refer clients to a legal professional when it's appropriate.